I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I feel like How the Grinch Stole Christmas is probably the perfect Christmas movie. Now granted, there are other movies that probably work a little bit better for some people, like The Christmas Carol is a good example, but this movie just works for me. And it's time that we finally review it. Today we're going to be reviewing How the Grinch Stole Christmas, released in 2000. First off, let me start this by saying, yes, this is my favorite Christmas movie of all time. I watch it every single year, and honestly, it's just perfect. You know, sit with your family, get yourself a cup of hot chocolate, and watch it together. It's so good. So let's not waste any more time and just jump right into why I love this movie so much. The movie starts with the camera looking into the snow, and the camera zooms in on multiple snowflakes before picking one that it likes and zooming into a mountain chain and into a small town known as Whoville. Now, right off the bat, that shot is just, chef's kiss. It is just so good. And you wanna know what the weird thing is? For some reason, I did not know as a kid that this was CGI. And here we are 25 years later, after this movie was released. I am 19 years old. This movie in the CGI still holds up. I mean, the symbiosis between digital and practical effects, it just works. And frankly, you can barely even tell that it's CGI. I mean, sure, you know, there are some shots that are very obviously CGI because you can't get those in real life. But enough about the CGI. We can talk about that later. But I want to talk about the location. Inside that snowflake, we see this place called Whoville. Whoville is by far the most iconic freaking place in all of Dr. Seuss's books. Case in point, Horton Hears a Who. In that one, Horton finds this little speck of dust that lands on a clover, which honestly looks a lot like the trees from the Lorax. And whenever he listens in, he can hear voices and hears Whoville and everything. And honestly, like, I like that. Like, I like the fact that Whoville is like a microscopic place and like it
that you had
today, Junior.
It matches the whole fantastical thing behind, you know, Dr. Seuss's stories. Both Horton Hears a Who and the Lorax will definitely be getting their own reviews eventually. I do have some pretty strong feelings about those two. It's also at this point when we hear the narrator for the first time, and he is played by Anthony Hopkins, who also played as Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. He talks about Whoville, and we get all these incredible shots of Whoville. Frankly, I love the fact that everything here was built practically. I mean, just look at the Who's, for instance. They are a perfect live-action variation of the original Who's from both the novels and the original 60s cartoon. But also kind of doing its own thing at the same time, you know what I mean? Fun fact, you know how Who's always have that goofy, cartoonish look? Some of them even have like raised noses. Well, you'd think that they'd do something like that with CGI, but in reality, this was actually all done practically. It kind of makes me think of whenever they made Dr. Loomis in Halloween Kills. Like, Donald Pleasance has been dead for God knows how long, and yet they were able to make a practical Dr. Loomis where everybody else was brought back with CG. But yeah, everybody in Whoville is now decorating for Christmas. It's definitely their favorite holiday, and it's definitely the holiday they put the most effort into. Every Who down in Whoville likes Christmas a lot. But there was one who lived up north of Whoville who did not. His name is the Grinch, and here is the cinch. Was he a good guy? That, my friends, he was not. I am so sorry for that cringy rhyme, but, you know, the narrator and everything else in this whole movie, they rhyme a lot, so I gotta include some rhymes of my own. We see a group of children walking up the mountain to come see him. Now, they all heard, like, legends of the Grinch saying that he was, like, this really malicious creature, so I don't know why anybody in their right mind would go visit him. When Stu reaches for the door, the Grinch suddenly comes out and tears every single one of them to shreds. Nah, I'm just joking. He just scares them down the hill. In fact, that's not even the Grinch. That's actually his dog, Max. Honestly, as a major dog person, I love the character of Max. And it's also at this point where we actually meet the Grinch. We see him as this, like, green monster. He also seems to be eating garbage, which is not good for you, Grinch. That's not good. You know, you can get diseases doing that. He steps out and we see him in all of his glory. The Grinch, played by legendary actor Jim Carrey. Honestly, Jim Carrey is probably my favorite actor of all time, and I love his makeup here. Like, I love the whole practical thing, and I heard it was also a pain in the butt to do because, you know, they came in, they put glue on his face, and he had to sit through 4 freaking hours of just non-stop makeup. Like, he had to, like, get it put on, shoot the scene, then get it, like, painfully taken off, and honestly, that sounds like it hurts like hell, but frankly, I'd say it was worth it. This movie is great. He goes into town and starts messing with the Who's, and there's a lot of deleted scenes that I feel like should have been left in. Like this one of him speeding up the what's that thing called? A paranome, I think that's what it's called. You know, the thing that, you know, people use to like keep themselves on track when they're writing music. And he just like speeds it up, and it just makes a bunch of like music performers like just go all out, and he drops a marble into a freaking what's it called? The water thing on the side of buildings. I forgot what those are called. And this just causes like the whole world to go out of whack, and it's freaking nuts. Now, honestly, there are multiple deleted scenes I feel like could have been left in, but after harassing the Who's, we finally meet the mayor of the town, Augustus Mayhew. While Mayhew is probably my least favorite character in the movie, he was played by Jeffrey Tambor, so, you know, that's freaking awesome. He was in a lot of banger stuff, such as Arrested Development. After hearing about what happened to Stu from earlier and, you know, all the nonsense that's been happening here, he comes out here and tries to reassure everyone that the Grinch is not actually there. But frankly, I love this scene. I think it's shot and acted in and overall edited everything beautifully, and I just love the way how it turned out. Later on, we get this really cool scene at the post office where we hear a conversation between Cindy Lou Who and her father. It's about the Grinch, saying nobody really knows what he is. Like, nobody knows why he hates Christmas. Nobody knows, you know, what the hell is this guy's issue. Now, a common theory among the Who's is that some say his shoes were too tight. Some say his head wasn't screwed on just right. But the most likely reason of all was that his heart was just 2 sizes too small. We eventually fast forward to nighttime and we see the Grinch mixing up the mail. Honestly, this is a really good prank. It kind of makes me think of that one prank of like people mixing up names at like a nursery and hospitals. Not a good thing to do, but in theory, it is kind of funny. And then we get this really cool shot of him throwing the mail in, and I'm pretty sure this was all done with CG, but either way, it still looks nuts.
Jury duty, jury duty, jury duty.
We see Cindy Lou Who walk in with some packages that her father gave her, and she finds the Grinch's mask. The Grinch scares the absolute crap out of her, causing her to fall into the mail thing.
The Grinch!
He was going to leave her there, but then Max bit him in the butt, causing him to just pull her out. And then we get this absolutely hilarious shot of just him just yelling at Cindy. You know what? We're just gonna insert the scene right here. It's freaking funny.
Don't you know you're not supposed to take things that don't belong to you? What's the matter with you? You some kind of wild animal?
He then later starts wrapping her in wrapping paper just to screw around with her. Honestly, this whole scene is just funny and was beautifully shot. We then meet Betty Lou Who, Cindy Lou Who's mother, and she is using literally every light in the house to decorate the house for Christmas, causing them to have to use candles to light their way. The reason why she's doing this is because of the fact that she wants to outmatch her rival, Martha Mayhew, because every year she has like the best lights, and there's like a whole competition going on, and there's even a deleted scene later where actually Betty won, but Augustus cheats and says that Martha won. What a freaking scumbag. We then later see a prank call between the Grinch and the Lou Who's, and honestly, it's really funny actually. It kind of goes to like the classic joke of, hey, is your refrigerator running? I suppose. Then you better go catch it. You know, that classic prank. We then later see how Max and the Grinch go home, and that is through the garbage. That is just nasty, but it's kind of funny. We also get this really cute scene of Cindy Lou Who singing the song Where Are You Christmas? And honestly, Taylor Momsen did a really good job here. Like, I don't know what she's doing nowadays, but back in the year 2000 when she shot this, I think she was like 8. She did a really good job. My only gripe with that is that The original Cindy Lou Who was like 2. But I will admit, this movie is still a banger, so it's worth it. We then cut to a scene of the Grinch coming home and just, you know, getting comfortable in his little cave. And honestly, this place is kind of dope, actually. We see the Grinch checking his answer machine and chewing on a bottle for some reason. I don't really know why he does that, but it kind of adds to like the disturbing nature of the Grinch. We then also see a scene of Cindy Lou Who going around town asking about the Grinch, and we also see this newspaper, which kind of makes me think of the classic Bigfoot sightings. Cindy asks everybody, from his original caretakers to Martha to even Augustus. And we get the backstory that he was actually born on Christmas Eve and wasn't the best human being. He treated everybody like crap, pretty much. But one day in school, he developed a crush on Martha May Who. But then, one day, his classmates started to tease him. Even his teachers started laughing. Bruh. He went full rage mode and just trashed the entire classroom and then left. It was the last time anybody ever saw him. Now again, if you go back to the deleted scenes, there is a scene where Cindy is talking about doing her holiday report on the Grinch. Or, I mean, holiday report. Honestly, it kind of brings me back to when I was in school and we did like holiday packets. Pretty cool stuff. Either way, whatever his reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on his mountain hating the Who's. But on Christmas Eve, they started a special celebration called Humilation. Or is it Hoovilation? I can never remember. The Grinch noticed all the music and knocks himself out, and then we cut to a bunch of people singing Christmas music, which honestly is a really funny scene. Like, I love the Humilation scene. It's a bit forgettable compared to everything else in the movie, but I love it. Everybody in town gets together and votes on who they should nominate as what they call the holiday cheermeister. All of a sudden, Cindy suddenly yells out, "I nominate the Grinch." Augustus comes up and they both plead their cases on why the Grinch should be holiday cheermeister or shouldn't be holiday cheermeister. Ultimately, Cindy gets everybody's approval, and whenever everybody starts cheering, the Grinch starts singing along in his sleep. And then suddenly he starts freaking out and now wants to drown out all the music, so he just makes a bunch of random noises and even activates this giant monkey, puts a bunch of nails in a bunch of blenders and gets a jackhammer. It's freaking funny. It's a funny scene. Like, honestly, I love this. And Cindy goes into his lair to see him with the symbols of the monkey, like, going like that on his head, like, slamming his head. I lose my crap every time I see this. He tries to scare her away with multiple tactics, but it all is to no avail. When she talks about him being holiday cheermeister, he laughs hysterically at her and boots her out. But whenever she mentions an award, oh, that's when it goes like that's when it goes differently. Fast forward a little bit later, he's going through his schedule and, you know, he's contemplating going, but he can't find a proper outfit. Real quick, I want to bring up something about this outfit right here. He actually got it from this tablecloth right here, and it was actually intended for him to like pull it off and then all the stuff on it to go flying, but he actually managed to do it flawlessly. This part here was not acting. Jim Carrey just straight up ran over and just threw all the stuff off the table. That was freaking hilarious. Then this yodeling dude appears. He, you know, hooks him, takes his clothes, and honestly, it's actually not a bad fit, actually. The Who's are concerned that he's most likely not going to show up, and he contemplates it, but then Max ultimately hits the lever and it sends him all the way to Whoville.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
He shows up and, you know, he goes through all the different, you know, holiday cheermeister rituals that they have, and there's some really cool stuff here. I still feel like this scene is a little bit forgettable compared to everything else, but I do still love it. But then it takes a dark turn when Mayhew gifts the Grinch a razor, telling him to shave, and then proposes to Martha. Dear God, he shouldn't have done that. Then the Grinch goes on this rant about how ungrateful people have gotten during the Christmas season. Because Christmas isn't supposed to be about presents. It's supposed to be about being together, celebrating Jesus' birthday, and, you know, not caring about presents underneath the tree. It's about loving your family. And frankly, that's a message I love about the Grinch. Like, I feel like that they sell it very well. The Grinch goes absolutely ballistic on the whole town, burning down their giant tree and even stealing this small couple's car, which honestly, that was just funny. And it's probably the only scene where the effects do start to show their age, but honestly, I still kind of like it. When he goes home, he realizes that they have a spare tree. Honestly, those Who's are freaking relentless. The Grinch is now standing at his mountain talking about how he's just gonna hate the next day. Christmas Day will come and the kids will rush out of their beds and rush for their toys. And then, all the noise.
Girls, rock your boys.
And then all the Who's, the tall and the small, will all hold hands. You know, singing in the middle of the town. I can't think of a good rhyme for that. And frankly, it's the noise that he hates. I'm pretty sure there is an actual medical condition for that. Like, I think Matt Pat talked about it a little while ago. And frankly, I can kind of relate. I don't like loud noises either. But there's also a theory going around saying that he secretly wants to kill all the Who's. They say this because in Horton Hears a Who, all the Who's need to like make loud noises to keep themselves from dying. Honestly, guys, that's a topic for another video. The more the Grinch thought of what Christmas would bring, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Year after year, he's put up with it now. He must stop Christmas from coming. But how? He thought about it for a second, and after a little, scuffle with his dog, he finally had an idea. An awful idea. That Grinch had a wonderful, awful idea. So what he did was he made himself a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. He chuckled and clucked at this great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, he'll look like Saint Nick. We then also get this really cool scene of him building the freaking sleigh, and we also get a really great modern rendition of You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, which frankly, as much as I do love this scene, we can't let you listen to any audio clips for copyright reasons. But what I don't really like about this one is that it doesn't go for as long as the one from the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas from the 60s. It's still great though. He then later sees Santa fly off, which honestly, there's a scene that I do have an issue with, but we'll get to that in a minute. He realizes he forgot about the reindeer. So what does he do? He takes a big horn and some red thread and ties one to the top of Max's head. He uses him for the reindeer. And then we see a really funny scene of him flying, like trying to say the whole like on Dasher, on Dancer thing, but like he says his own variation of it. But then he just like goes flying, and it's really funny, and I love what they did here. Like, and the fact that we see Max just like flying around as he goes in circles. Honestly, they must have done this with CGI, because there's no way they're going to willingly put a dog out there. I don't think.
I'm going to throw up, and then I'm going to die!
He then goes to the first house on the block, and it happens to be Cindy Lou Who's house. Now, this is the part I said I had an issue with earlier. He starts making Christmas music with the sleigh, and Betty and Lou wake up and they notice that it could have been Santa. Like, why are they just now noticing it if Santa literally just left? It's probably because it's just a movie and I'm thinking too into it. So the Grinch decides to do the same thing that Santa typically does, and that's to go through the chimney. A rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, so could the Grinch. He does this really cool gymnastics trick, which honestly I think might actually be possible in real life, but he gets stuck in the chimney. Like, he gets stuck in the chimney for a moment or two, then pops his head out of the chimney view.
A little more stealth, please.
Oh, sorry Grinch, we'll keep it down for you. He then sees all the stockings hanging in place, and he unleashes a bunch of moths, causing them to eat the stockings. He snuck in with a smile most unpleasant. He takes all the decorations and stole every present. He then slunk over to the icebox. He eyed the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox quick as a flash. That old Grinch, he even took their last can of Who hash. He filled up every single bag that he had and threw them up the chimney with glee. And now, he'll stuff up the tree. There's then later, like, him hearing the sound, like, a small child walking out of bed, and it happens to be Cindy Lou Who. He was shocked when he saw this tiny Who daughter who walked out of bed for a cup of cold water. Yes, you're gonna have to deal with these rhymes for the rest of the video, okay? I'm sorry. She didn't think it was the Grinch right away. She asked Santa Claus why he was taking their tree. But the Grinch was also very clever, so he thought of a lie really quick. He lies about the light not working and says he's just going to take it home and fix it, bring it back. We then also get like this whole thing about the the meaning behind Christmas. So he basically just lies to her, gaslights her, and sends her to bed. She then also tells Santa Claus to not forget about the Grinch. But as Cindy Lou went up with her cup, the Grinch took the tree and stuffed it right up. Last thing he took was the log for the fire, and all that was left on the walls was some hooks and some wire. The only food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. He then loots the entire town, and there's this really funny deleted scene of him screwing with this cop character, and it's pretty funny. He even steals Martha May's ring that Augustus gave her before, and even trolls Augustus a little bit with Max. He even puts a hook on his bed, but we'll get to that later. He stole everything Christmas related, but unfortunately couldn't use the sleigh again because he had ran out of gas. Instead of, giving everything back like a normal person, he decides to use his dog Max and make him walk him up the mountain. He rode with his load to the top of Mount Crumpet. He rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. I feel like if he really wanted to get rid of it, what he could do is he could have just went to that same garbage thing from before and just, put it all in there. Like, I feel like that would have made a little bit more sense, but we wouldn't be able to get that iconic, change of heart thing that we're going to see in just a second. Do you remember that hook that was hooked up to Mayhew's bed? Well, the police officer from before gets inside of his car and it drags his freaking bed out of the house, and it's really funny. Augustus goes on a whole rant about inviting the Grinch and destroying Christmas. He even scolds Cindy for it. But then her dad comes up and says that he's glad that the Grinch did all this. And this was the moment when everybody realized that Christmas was more than just what, you get underneath the tree. It's about spending time with your family. At this point, nobody's sad, and the Grinch is confused. He stood there at his front door puzzling. Christmas came anyway. It came just the same. It came without presents. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. So he stood there puzzling and puzzling till his puzzler was sore. Then he had an epiphany. Maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas means much more. He then starts thrashing around and in severe chest pain, and honestly, this scene, I kind of feel bad for him here. But then we see something pumping in his chest there. Well, that's kind of concerning to me. Nobody's heart just grows like that. But what happened to the Grinch? Well, in Whoville they say that his heart grew 3 sizes that day. Then the sleigh starts to fall and he suddenly cares. He tries to pull the sleigh back up to no avail. But then suddenly he sees Cindy Lou. And this gives him the strength of 10 Grinches plus 2. We then see this really banger scene of him on some skis behind the sleigh and Cindy's driving, and it's such a nice scene, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, the brakes give out, they can't slow down. The Grinch even says something that I often make jokes about like this in real life, saying even if we're horribly mangled, there will be no sad faces on Christmas. Whenever they arrive in Whoville, Martha and Betty decide to put their differences aside, grab some leftover Christmas lights, and use it to try and slow down the sleigh. We also hear the Grinch joke and say he doesn't have insurance, which honestly makes sense. He lives in a cave.
I have no insurance!
Then we also see Lou try and stop the freaking sleigh, and it actually works. He's backed into the Christmas tree, and honestly, this whole scene is just beautiful. And when the police officer shows up to, confront the Grinch, he admits to stealing Christmas and even apologizes. He even puts his arms out expecting to get arrested. Everybody forgives him, even Augustus, who was his childhood enemy. And now with a best friend in Cindy Lou, a friendship with his old mortal enemy, and the love of his life by his side, the Grinch, he's not evil anymore. He's happy. And with the turn of just one light, all of the Christmas lights turn back on. He joins all the Who's hand in hand to sing. Then they all meet up at the Grinch's lair for the feast. and the Grinch himself carved the roast beast. The movie ends exactly the way it started, with us zooming out from the very same snowflake. Honestly, what a beautiful masterpiece. Oh my lord, that movie is just, it's so good. So with the absolutely amazing cast, the lovable characters, the story being absolutely phenomenal, and just the movie being perfect in every way, this has got to be the first 10 out of 10 I have ever given on a movie review. And for these reviews, I'm going to give out 3 separate awards: best scene, best character, and best line in the entire movie. Starting with best character, I got to give it to the Grinch, obviously. Come on, he's like the main character. Best scene in the entire movie was a tie between the ski scene and the tablecloth scene, but we're going to give it to the tablecloth scene because that is just freaking awesome. And as for best line in the entire movie, we got to give it to this masterpiece.
Cheer up, dude. It's Christmas.
But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for taking a moment to come chill out with me and talk about this movie. You know I appreciate it and love every single one of you. Be sure to leave a comment on what other kind of movie you want to see me review, and I will definitely be doing a review of it. This video turned out a lot longer than what was intended, but yeah, I'd say it was worth it. If you have somehow never checked out this movie yet, what are you doing with your life? Go watch it. It's really good. And with that, guys, shout out to all the Patreon members. If you want to see your name on this list, go join the Patreon. Link in the video's description. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. God bless you guys. I love every single one of you. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.